high. So take a look at Warren Buffett's very stern message when it comes to the S&P 500 and the stock market itself.
As I explained, the position isn't that huge when I look at worst case possibilities. I would say that there are things that I think are quite improbable, and I hope they don't happen, but that doesn't mean they won't happen. I mean, for example, in our insurance business, we could have the world's or the country's number one hurricane that it's ever had, but that doesn't preclude the fact we could have the biggest earthquake a month later. So we don't prepare ourselves for a single problem. We prepare ourselves for problems that sometimes create their own momentum. I mean, 2008 and 2009, you didn't see all the problems the first day when what really kicked it off was when the Freddie and Fannie, the GSEs, went into conservatorship in early September. And then when money market funds broke the buck, I mean, there are things that trip other things, and we take a very much a worst case scenario into mind that probably is a considerably worse case than most people do. So I'm not recommending that people buy stocks today or tomorrow or next week or next month. I think it all depends on your circumstances, but you shouldn't buy stocks unless you expect, in my view, you expect to hold them for a very extended period, and you are prepared financially and psychologically to hold them the same way you would hold a farm and never look at a quote and never pay it. You don't need to pay attention to them. I mean, the main thing to do, and you're not going to pick the bottom, and nobody else can pick it for you or anything of the sort. You've got to be prepared to, when you buy a stock, to have it go down 50% or more. When I pointed out that there have been 3 times in Berkshire's history when the price of Berkshire stock went down 50%. 3 different times. Now, if you owed it on borrowed money, you could have been cleaned out. There wasn't anything wrong with Berkshire when those 3 times occurred. But if you're going to look at the price of the stock and think that you have to act because it's doing this or that, or somebody else tells you, well, I mean, how can you stay with that when something else is going up or anything? You've got to be in the right psychological position. And frankly, some people are not really careful. Some people are more subject to fear than others. It's like the virus. It strikes some people with much greater ferocity than others, and fear is something I really never felt financially, but I don't think Charlie's felt it either. But some people can handle it psychologically. If you can't handle it psychologically, then you really shouldn't own stocks, because you're going to buy and sell them at the wrong time. And you should not count on somebody else telling you this. You should do something you understand yourself. If you don't understand it yourself, you're going to be affected by the next person you talk to. And so you should be in a position to hold. And I don't know whether today is a great day to buy stocks. I know it will work out over 20 or 30 years. I don't know whether it'll work out over 2 years at all.
Warren Buffett really said in this clip that he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. He doesn't know where the market is going to be, whether he knows for a fact of if the investment is going to be a good one for you or any investor, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, and so on. But, however, he did say that if you invest at a certain point, whatever that point may be, in 20, 30, 40 years from now, he can definitely say, or at least Warren Buffett says, that it will be a good investment in the long run. So you may be asking yourself, according to what Warren Buffett himself would have to say, what would you do in terms of investing today or tomorrow? If you listen very closely to what Warren Buffett has to say, he advises that, you really should find a bottom point. There really should be a bottom point to the market or in terms of what you think that the bottom point could be in terms of investing. Me personally, I would never invest, or at least I would never try to invest in a company that is on its high point. Of course, that's just stupidity to even think of investing in any sort of stock, whether it's the S&P 500 or the Amazon or what have you, at a high point. In terms of short-term profits here in the market itself, you never want to see your stock be in the red. In my personal opinion, I would be very weary of investing when any sort of stock is at its all-time high. Everybody's different in terms of, how much money they have to invest, their financial situation, what kind of debt they're in, and so on. What I would do particularly is keep on watching YouTube videos, keep on learning from people who know what they're talking about in the stock market of whether or not it is the right time to invest in any stock. And of course, the S&P 500 is at an all-time high, which is a great sign. You need to understand that tomorrow or the next day, you just want to understand that it's going to change, whether it's good, for the good or for the worse.
Big opportunities in life have to be seized. We don't do very many things, but when we get the chance to do something that's right and big, we've got to do it. And even to do it in a small scale is just as big a mistake almost as not doing it at all. You've really got to grab them when they come. Because you're not going to get 500 great opportunities. You would be better off if when you got out of school here, you got a punch card with 20 punches on it. And every financial decision you made, you used up a punch. You'd get very rich because you'd think through very hard each one. You went to a cocktail party and somebody talked about a company, you didn't even understand what they did or couldn't pronounce the name, but they made some money last week and another one like it. You wouldn't buy it if you only had 20 punches on that card. There's a temptation to dabble, particularly during bull markets. In stocks, it's so easy. It's easier now than ever because you can do it online. You click it in and maybe it goes up a point and you get excited about that and you buy another one the next day and so on. You can't make any money over time doing that. But if you had a punch card with only 20 punches, you weren't going to get another one in the rest of your life, you would think a long time before every investment decision. And you would make good ones and you'd make big ones. And you probably wouldn't even use all 20 punches in your lifetime, but you wouldn't need to.